first time at Yad Vashem. I'm so anxious and excited to experience this historical museum and, you know, kind of just to get the Jewish perspective of what happened in the Holocaust. The World Holocaust Remembrance Center, Yad Vashem, offers a meaningful and dynamic commemoration of the Holocaust. The museum shares the narrative of the Holocaust and its 6 million Jewish victims through a Jewish perspective. The museum includes monuments, memorials, and sculptures, all situated on Jerusalem's Mount of Remembrance. In 2018 alone, over 1 million people came to visit Yad Vashem to learn about one of the most devastating periods in modern history.
This is a museum that, if you're in Jerusalem, you don't want to miss this museum. It's always one of the top museums. It's always one of the top spots to visit in Israel. I think the way we tell the story in the museum is that we use a combination of video screens. There are about 100 video screens in the museum. We use real artifacts that were donated by survivors. We use, of course, photographs. We use art. We use poetry. We use all kinds of different things that bring the story of the Holocaust down from the level of this anonymous 6 million victims to a very individual human story. We're bringing this thing that's just unfathomable. You can't understand it. We're trying to bring it down to the level of one person at a time, and I think that's what makes it very effective.
There's no easy way to learn and comprehend what happened in the Holocaust. All Yad Vashem can really do now is try to make it as easy as possible for people to learn the history.
It's one of these museums that you go to question and to continue to question. It doesn't give you an answer. It gives you a lot of questions. It opens up kind of your thinking to, how is this possible?
An original German cattle car was actually given to Yad Vashem by Polish authorities and stands at the center of the memorial site. A cattle car that was established here at Yad Vashem as a monument to the millions of Jews that were herded onto cattle cars and transported from all over Europe to extermination camps.
There will always be unanswered questions when it comes to the Holocaust, but Yad Vashem is looking to share anything and everything they know with anyone willing to learn more. Admissions to the museums are actually free of charge.
This museum has a lot of things that other Holocaust museums don't have. For instance, we are the institution that awards righteous among the nations status to those non-Jews who helped Jews.
There have actually been 27,000 people that have been recognized as righteous among the nation thus far.
And this was something that the government thought about in 1953, how important it would be to recognize people who tried to help Jews during this whole dark period and recognize them as points of light. What you're looking at here, this is the beginning of the museum, and you can see that it's jutting out over this abyss. Nobody builds a museum that sticks out over the edge of a mountain unless they're trying to make a point. And the point here is that the Jews before the war were standing at the edge of an abyss, and they really didn't know it. They're standing at the edge of death, and they have no idea.
The first thing you see when walking into the museum is life before the war.
So this is the beginning, this is where the Jews were way before the war and where they started, and then when you look down, it's kind of like the light to life.
Exactly. Well, it's like a timeline.
Right.
This is like the chronology of the Holocaust.
Right.
Through that prism, and you'll see when we get to them, there are ruptures in the floor that prevent you from going straight from the front to the back of the museum. They force you to go from gallery to gallery, kind of like the way the Jews were forced to move from place to place in the Holocaust.
When you make your way through the museum, you see original and scanned photographs, authentic handwritten letters, and artifacts donated by survivors. There are 10 essential spots to see during your visit to the Yad Vashem campus, one of them being the Hall of Names.
So this is the Hall of Names.
This is the Hall of Names. And what you can see here is, first of all, this room was made specially.
There are actually 4.7 million names of Holocaust survivors here in this room and 2.7 million written testimonies.
If you take a look at the architecture at this point, you can see that the museum which was kind of closing in on you in the middle and getting narrower and narrower as the death toll was increasing. When you get out here and you step on this balcony, all of a sudden the museum is widened, so it's like wings, if you want, or arms that are opening to embrace you. And the significance is, if you think back, first of all, you've come from darkness into light. You've come from despair into hope. And that's what this represents. It was very important to the museum to have this as the final thing that you see when you come out, because the state of Israel for the Jewish people represents this hope. Remember that at the end of the war, when all of these people were displaced and they wound up in the displaced persons camps, the Jews didn't have a country. And when you get out onto this balcony and you take a look and you realize that now there is a country, and we will never have that state again where we don't have a place that's ours. That's what makes us so special.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Oh, and it's raining.
The weather is your favorite.
It somehow always rains when I start crying. I know it sounds weird, but now we have our country, you know? Now you can look out, and this is
It's a big
Israel,
deal.
and this is what we fought for, and this is what we went through this entire museum for, and I feel so blessed and so
Absolutely.
grateful to be here and to learn, and
I'm glad.
thank you.
You're welcome.